Namaste everyone, I'm your co-host Shawnee ma'am. Welcome to your favorite learning channel. The topic for today's video is blood and its components. So we already know that blood is pumped by our heart and it carries various materials to different parts of our body. So we can say that blood is a red colored fluid, and this fluid it circulates it circulates through the body. Okay, the blood circulates through the body and it is responsible for transportation of materials, and it transports various materials throughout our body. Okay, so blood is a, we can say it is a fluid connective tissue. Okay, so it connects our whole body as it flows throughout our body, and it is a fluid, it is a red colored fluid, hence we can say it that blood is a fluid connective tissue. So blood travels inside the blood vessels and carries materials to be transported. So now let's look at the components, the various components of blood. So broadly we can say that blood is composed of two entities. It is composed of two entities on a broader scale, and these two entities are, one is plasma and the other is blood cells. Okay, so what is plasma? Plasma is straw colored. Okay, so plasma is straw colored fluid, and about 92% of this plasma, around 92% of plasma is composed of, or the plasma's 92% of volume is what? It is of water, and the remaining 8% comprises of dissolved substances. Dissolved substances like proteins. Okay, so plasma actually acts like a medium. It acts like a medium. A medium for what? It acts like a medium for blood cells, for the blood cells to travel. So the blood cells basically travel through this medium called plasma. Now let's see what are these blood cells. So these blood cells are suspended. They are suspended in the plasma. Okay, so the blood cells remain suspended in plasma, and the blood cells are of three types. There are three types of blood cells, that is the red blood cells, can also be called as RBCs or erythrocytes. Then there are white blood cells or WBCs or leukocytes, and then there are platelets. Okay, and platelets can also be called as thrombocytes. Okay, so we will be discussing about each of these blood cells separately now. So first we'll look at the red blood cells. Red blood cells can also be called as RBCs or erythrocytes or erythrocytes. Okay, so the mature RBCs are biconcave in shape. When the RBCs are mature RBCs have a biconcave. Okay, they are biconcave in shape and they do not have nucleus. So in them nucleus is absent. RBCs lack nucleus. Okay, so they are the most abundant component of blood. They are most abundant component in blood. Okay, so RBCs are the most abundant component of our blood and they contain a red colored pigment. They have a red colored pigment. Do you know what is this called? This red colored pigment is called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin. Okay, and it is a red colored iron containing pigment. This hemoglobin is. Okay, now what happens is the hemoglobin combines with oxygen. Hemoglobin can combine with oxygen, and upon this combination where hemoglobin combines with oxygen, this combination is called oxyhemoglobin. Okay, so this oxyhemoglobin is then carried. This is carried from lungs to all the parts of the body. This is carried from lungs to all the parts of our body. Okay, then the hemoglobin also binds with hemoglobin also binds with what? It also binds with carbon dioxide to transport it from, and it transports it from all the parts of the body to the lungs. From all the parts of the body to our lungs. Okay, so this red colored iron containing pigment can combine with oxygen as well as carbon dioxide. With oxygen it combines to form oxyhemoglobin complex and it carries this oxygen from the lungs to all other parts of our body. Then it can also combine with carbon dioxide and it transports it from all other parts of the body to the lungs. Okay, so this was about the RBCs or red blood cells. Then we will talk about the WBCs or white blood cells or WBCs or leukocytes. They are also known as leukocytes. Okay, so they are colorless blood cells and are fewer in number. They are colorless blood cells and fewer. They are fewer in number unlike the red blood cells which were present in abundant amount in our blood. So they are irregularly shaped. Shape is irregular. Okay. So their shape is irregular and they have nuclei. Okay. So there, what is their main function? What do they do? Like we saw in case of RBCs, they are transporting the respiratory gases. So what do white blood cells do? So their main function is to protect body from harmful foreign substances. They protect our body from the harmful foreign substances. Foreign substances. Okay. So there are two types of WBCs. Okay. They contain, one contains cytoplasmic granules. Example, let's see. So these WBCs are of two types again. Okay. So one is that which contains cytoplasmic granules. So such are called granulocytes. Granulocytes. So granulocytes contain what? They contain cytoplasmic. They contain cytoplasmic granules. Okay. And we can take the examples of such granulocytes as eosinophils, basophils and neutrophils. So they have cytoplasmic granules and are called granulocytes. The other type of WBC are called agranulocytes. Okay. So agranulocytes, they do not have the cytoplasmic granules. They do not have cytoplasmic granules. So their examples can be lymphocytes and monocytes. So these agranulocytes, they do not contain cytoplasmic granules. Okay. So next we will be studying about the platelets. Okay. So they are colorless again. They are colorless blood cells. Okay. Then what is their major role? So their major role is they help in clotting. They help in clotting of blood. This is their major function. So we know when a part of our body is injured, the blood actually flows out of that site of wound. So in order to avoid excessive loss of blood from our blood vessels, platelets actually act on the site of the wound, and this then leads to drying of the blood, and it further leads to the formation of blood clot, and hence blood loss is controlled. Okay. So this is the main function of platelets, that they act on the site of the wound, they cause drying of the blood, and this leads to the formation of blood clots. Okay. So now let's revise the things that we have studied today. So we saw that blood is a red colored fluid substance. It is a red colored fluid, and this blood actually circulates through the body. And as it circulates through the body, it transports various materials throughout the body. So we can say that blood is a fluid connective tissue. So now we studied about different components of blood. So on a broader term, we can say that blood has two entities. One is the blood plasma and the other is blood cells. So what is plasma? Plasma is a straw colored fluid. Now 92% of this blood plasma is composed of water, and the remaining 8% of the plasma contains dissolved substances like proteins. Okay, so this plasma actually serves as a medium for what? Medium for the blood cells to travel. Okay, then we saw what was blood cells. So blood cells actually they remain suspended in the blood plasma, and there are three types of blood cells. One is RBCs or red blood cells, then there are white blood cells or WBCs, and then there are platelets, which are also known as thrombocytes. So then we studied about the red blood cells first, which are also known as RBCs or erythrocytes. So mature RBCs have a biconcave shape. In them, that is in RBCs, nucleus is absent, and these RBCs are most abundant component in our blood. Then these RBCs have a red colored iron containing pigment which is called hemoglobin, and this hemoglobin can combine with oxygen, and upon this combining it can form a complex called oxyhemoglobin complex, and this helps in carrying of oxygen from the lungs to all other parts of the body. Then the hemoglobin can also bind with carbon dioxide and it helps in the transport of it from all other parts of the body to the lungs. Okay. So then we talked about the white blood cells or WBCs, which are also known as leukocytes. So they are colorless blood cells and they are fewer in number. They have an irregular shape and have nuclei. So what is the main function of these WBCs? They help in protecting our body from harmful foreign substances. So by protecting our body from foreign substances, they help in providing immunity to our body. Okay. So WBCs can be further classified into two types, that is granulocytes and agranulocytes. So granulocytes are those WBCs which have cytoplasmic granules present. For example, eosinophils, basophils, neutrophils. And agranulocytes are those WBCs which do not have cytoplasmic granules. Okay. So for example, lymphocytes and monocytes. Then we talked about the platelets. So platelets are also colorless blood cells. Their main function is that they help in formation of blood clots. Okay. So what happens is when a part of our body gets injured, blood flows out of that side of the wound, and in order to avoid excessive loss of blood from our blood vessels, these platelets actually act on the site of the wound, and this causes the blood to get dried, and that further leads to the formation of blood clots. Okay, so here in the diagram we can see the different types of, or we can say that it is composition of blood. Here there is plasma. So plasma constitutes around 55% of our blood. Then white blood cells and platelets together constitute around 4% of our blood. Then red blood cells, they constitute 41% in our blood, and as we said that red blood cells are the most abundant type of blood cells present in our blood because it is constituting around 41% in our blood. Okay, So I hope you all would have got some great insights by watching today's video. Please do not forget to like and share the video. Till then, thank you for watching.